You're listening to the StoryBrand podcast, based on Donald Miller's best-selling book, Building a StoryBrand. The StoryBrand framework is made up of 7 key elements, all of them anchored in one powerful idea. Your customer is the hero, and you are their guide. Each week on the podcast, you'll get exactly what you need to craft clear messaging that connects with more customers and grows your business. Now let's dive in with your hosts, Donald Miller and Kyle Reed.
Scott, thanks for joining us and sitting down with the podcast today. I know a lot of people watching this are very familiar with you and Charity Water, but for those who are not, maybe they're watching this on YouTube or listening to it, could you just give us a brief introduction to yourself, but also Charity Water? What is it and what do you guys do?
Yeah, sure. I've been on a mission for almost 20 years to bring clean drinking water to the entire world. So that's a very simple...
And you nailed that soundbite.
Idea. Everyone should have clean water to drink.
Love it.
And as we sit here today, 700 million people will drink disgusting, toxic, poisonous water. So about a tenth of the world away from solving that problem.
Okay. Wow. I didn't know that number, that it's that large still. Wow.
Now it was over 1 billion when I started.
There you go. So but it's a long ways to go, obviously.
Long ways to go, but a lot of progress.
Making a big dent. Yeah.
People don't talk about the progress. I think sometimes it's like, we send all this money. Does anything ever get better? Well, when I started 20 years ago, 1 in 6 people alive were drinking dirty water. Now it's 1 in 11.
Wow.
So that's a measurable difference.
Yes, massive.
1 in 11 is too many. The number needs to be 0.
Yes, but obviously you're right. People more focus on the problem versus like, hey, this is what we're doing to solve that. How do you message that? How do you kind of,
we message it as a solvable problem down to the very last human.
Okay.
So there's not a single person alive on planet Earth right now who we cannot definitively deliver clean water to.
Wow.
So we don't have a cure for Parkinson's. Yep. We don't have a cure for ALS. My mom died of late stage pancreatic cancer. It was diagnosed to death in a couple months. Doctors had no idea, right? We have thorny problems. We're spending billions of dollars looking for potential solutions. The great thing about water is we have the solution.
Very solvable.
Now, the solution is not where the problem is.
Tell me more about that.
Brought.
Yeah.
There was a famous Ugandan doctor that said, I think it was 35 years ago, he said, he was talking about AIDS, and he said, the disease is where the cure is not, and the cure is where the disease is not. So we haven't brought the solution to the problem. And one of the biggest reasons I think for that is because nobody listening has ever experienced the problem. And we have all experienced cancer or Parkinson's or ALS or, you name one of these thorny diseases that's taking our spouses, our children, our coworkers, our friends. None of our friends are dying of bad water. None of my friends are losing their children to diarrhea.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's really hard to get people to raise their hand and say, I'd like to go after that.
Yes.
I'd like to make sure everybody has clean water to drink.
Yeah. And I think this will be a great conversation of us kind of diving into talking about that, but also how are you guys messaging that? One of the things I want to start with, though, that always is I've admired about what you do, especially with Charity Water, is the model of how you run Charity Water. And I remember a long time ago, I think I was listening to you on Gary Vee at one point, talk about this. And that's kind of what exposed me to what you guys are doing. One of the models you guys set up that I think is very unique is 100% of donations go to 100% of the people in need. Yep. You do not use your operational costs. And I remember when I heard that, I did not know that most charities don't follow that model. It's very, that's very unique. They actually
0.00001%.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So take me back to that moment when you decided that's what we're going to do. But also I want to drill in a little bit of like, how did you communicate that as kind of a talking point inside of the organization and then publicly?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think, the founding moment, I was 28 years old and I had just been a nightclub promoter for 10 years. So career number 1 was filling up 40 clubs in New York City with drunk revelers and convincing them. Really, if you go back to the story I was telling was that if you got past the velvet rope, you got inside one of my clubs, you spent $25 on a vodka Red Bull that cost 25 cents to make, your life had profound meaning. Yeah. You had arrived. You'd made it. So I did that for 10 years. And then at 28, really had a crisis of conscience, a crisis of faith, wound up selling everything I owned and living in the poorest country in the world for 1 year, which actually turned into 2 years, Liberia, West Africa.
Wow.
And I became a photojournalist on a medical mission. So a very different life, running around a country with no electricity, no running water, no sewage system, no mail system. And I saw a lot of poverty. I saw a lot of suffering. But the one thing that I just couldn't get out of my mind was that people were drinking dirty water. And I think the parallel there, I had been selling bottled water in my clubs for $10 a pop to people who wouldn't even open the water.
Yeah.
They would order 20 bottles and it would sit there as they drank champagne instead. So I also learned that in the country I was living in, half of the disease was caused by bad water and half the people were drinking dirty water.
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense almost to start with the problem first that I wanted to solve, which is I want to bring clean water to 1 billion people before I die and lead a global movement that just says, not on our watch. Like we just shouldn't have people drinking dirty water. Yeah. So then the starting moment was actually 30 years old. I come back to New York City after these 2 years volunteering. And I think I had the advantage of not knowing anything about how to start a charity. I knew nothing about institutional philanthropy. I remember buying one of those dummies books, like Nonprofit for Dummies. And okay, you're gonna need a board. Yeah. You're gonna need a 501c3. I couldn't have told you what a 501c3 was. But that led me to talk to everyday people about the problem I wanted to solve, which is everybody's gonna have water. Mm-hmm. And I realized that most of my friends didn't trust charities. Yeah. So simple. They said, I'd like to give, but if I give, that money's gonna go in a black hole. I don't have any faith that it's going to reach the people because of the middleman, right? And at the time, I remember Anderson Cooper on CNN was doing these specials where he would find the bad charities and he would expose them. And I have this vivid scene of, I think it was Anderson or one of his co-hosts, on the steps of a mansion, right? With like the paperwork in hand saying, where did all the money go?
What are you guys doing?
And then the door slams shut. And the reporter's there with the mic. And I think that's, it's a bit hyperbolic, but I think that's how a lot of people felt about charities. So I thought, what is the biggest problem? It's really not knowing where the money goes. And there was this one guy in New York City who was a billionaire, multi-billionaire. His name was Paul Tudor Jones. And he was a hedge fund manager. He had started a charity. And he said, I'm so rich, I'm just going to pay for all the overhead.
Perfect.
So that 100% of whatever you give to a charity. So I remember thinking, this guy has taken the most common objection and he's just neutered it. Like he's taking it off the table. Yep. So I wrote him a long letter. He did not write me back because who am I? Just some punk club kid who came back from Africa. But I remember thinking, I'm going to copy his model and I'm going to bootstrap it. So I went down to the bank on Broadway and Bond in New York City and I opened up 2 separate bank accounts, a couple $100s in each. And it was that idea that 100% of whatever the public would ever give would go directly to build water projects that would get people clean water. And then this other bank account, somehow I would raise the nasty, unsexy overhead dollars from other people, from a small group of board members, maybe entrepreneurs, who understood that you did have people costs and, you needed an office. I wasn't sure, but I just believe the kind of separation of church and state would be really a powerful message that would take the cynical, skeptical giver and have them take another look. At the time, 70% of Americans polled said they believed charities wasted their money.
Wow.
So 7 out of 10 potential givers believed charities didn't do the right thing with the money. And that was the problem I was trying to solve. And then I think I quickly realized that there's actually an opportunity because we've separated out the donations and the overhead. We could build proprietary technology and we could track every single donation because we weren't stepping on it. So if someone gave $6.11 that they collected at a lemonade stand, we could track the $6.11 to a village in Malawi or Uganda or Ethiopia or Bangladesh. And we could show the satellite images of every one of those projects and go back to the donors and say, here's exactly where 100% of your money went. So the first idea was 100%. The second idea was proof.
Yeah.
Just a simple idea that if you showed people where their donations went, they would want to give more.
Yeah. Absolutely. When you're solving that problem, I like how you're kind of, we've been talking about this a lot on the podcast about, starting with the problem, finding that empathy side of where you're at, and then giving some sort of answer right away. Like, here's how we're doing that. When you started to, put that out into the public, what was the response as far as, hey, this is a new model? How did you use that? I don't want to make it in a slimy way, but how did you use that to market Charity Water, to get the word out? What was the response to that? How did that go?
I don't remember saying other charities are bad.
Yeah.
I just remember saying we're better.
Yeah.
This is a better way.
Yeah.
This is the way. Yeah. A charity that, and I think what it really did was it valued small donations.
Yes.
So day one of Charity Water, and this is over $1 billion now ago, day one was a bunch of people that came to my 31st birthday party, and they put $20 in a glass plexi box at the door of the party. And at the end of the night, there was $15,000 of cash, and 100% of that money went to build our first well in Uganda. And then all 700 people who gave $20 got the proof of that $20 donation. So I think it also said, you don't need to be rich to give, to make a difference, right? The widow's mite matters here because it's so potent. Because even if it's $1, at least 100% of that dollar will go to the intended purpose.
And you then carried that model out to doing people, using their birthdays to raise money. That's so, creative. Don described you yesterday. I was talking to Don, and he said, Scott is the best marketer, better than me at marketing and messaging. Has he said that to you before?
Okay. No.
Yeah. He told me that yesterday, and I can see that kind of inside of all you're doing. Is that just natural to you? I mean, I know you're trying to sell out clubs in the early days.
I think
where
so.
did that
I'm not
come
that
from?
smart. Like, I'm actually not that smart. I like simple things.
Sure.
I'm pretty black and white.
Yeah.
So, I'm constantly thinking about how do I explain Charity Water to an 8-year-old?
Yeah.
So almost all of our messaging, all of our comms has been, it's not dumbed down. It's just, can we make it simple?
Yeah.
Don and I have both coached nonprofits over the years, and sometimes you have no idea what they actually do. The mission statement is so convoluted, or it's using so much generic language that just has no meaning at the end. So I think the simplicity has always helped. We also have a visual language. So coming at this through photography, I need to see it. So it needs to be simple, and I need to see it. And in those 2 years when I was volunteering in Africa, I took over 50,000 photos. When I came back and started Charity Water, I would open up a laptop and I would show you people drinking dirty water, and I would tell you their names. That's, John Bosco. That's Esther. That's so-and-so. That's Howa. She's 13. And then I would show you the problem being solved. Here's a rig drilling. Want to click here. Watch this video. And it would be a 20-second video of water shooting out of the ground, right? As 400 people are dancing and clapping and singing. Hey, you want to see the well? Click next.
Yeah.
Here's clean water flowing out of the ground, and a child catching that water, touching it and tasting it and seeing it for the very first time. So it was this combination of making things simple and then showing. We've made 1,000 videos at Charity Water. I think the language of seeing, it's one thing to show you water that looks like coffee or chocolate milk. It's a different thing just to say it.
Yeah, that's right. As I think about this, and I hear people like you talk, or other people who are talking about how they grew something, there's always this thing in the back of my head that they must have had it all figured out. Like, they had this whole plan, this whole strategy. What I'm hearing you say, and I'd love to hear you talk more about this, is it kind of you're just taking some next natural steps with ideas, and it kind of progressed into your marketing some way.
That's a great way of saying it. We tried something and it worked, and that resonated, and we said, let's do more of that.
Kind of like with your birthday party. It's kind of like, hey, let's just, what if we did
let's talk about birthdays for a second. Yeah. So, I wasn't even aware of the redemptive kind of turn of throwing a party in a nightclub. It was just what I had in front of me. I was back in New York City. I'm starting something. I knew people who had clubs that they would give me for free and open bar for free. And I knew that a free hot club during Fashion Week in September and free open bar for an hour would get a lot of people there. And they'd be willing to donate $20 for that package. So that's where it started. And then a year later, I was just thinking about what's next. What is the next step? So I could have done a bigger birthday party in a bigger club. 30-second birthday party. I could have charged $40 at the door. Right? And it just didn't scale. And I just said, well, I don't really need a party. And I certainly don't need a gift. I don't need a wallet or, a tie or, gift card to whatever. What if I donated my birthday? And then I thought the sticky marketing idea was, what if I asked for my age in dollars? Because everyone I knew had $32 they could donate. And I thought that would travel. It was a specific ask. The only thing anyone ever got asked for was to donate $32 for my 32nd birthday. 100% of the $32 will help people get clean water. And I will fly on my birthday and I will drill a well live via satellite. And if you give $30, you can see exactly where your money went that day. So that wound up raising $60,000.
Yeah, I love the creativity there. I've always talked about it. For me, the way it makes sense of creativity in my head is kind of having some simple principles or guardrails that you can use, and then you get creative. And I think your story represents that, where you have some things you're working on, and then the creativity flows. But then the way you demonstrate that out is really cool, and something we can see there as you started with a problem, as you started with some understanding, showing that, and then inviting people into that story.
But then the next step is, everybody has a birthday.
That's right.
And everybody really doesn't need a birthday party or gifts if they have clean water. So let's turn birthdays into this redemptive, generous, giving moment where you can include all your friends and your family and your coworkers and your loved ones. So then it went out to the call for birthdays, and 7-year-olds would ask for $7 and 89-year-olds would ask for $89. And then even there was this one woman that realized how profound the birthday idea was. She wrote on her website, she said, I'm turning 89. And I want that to be possible for more people. We're like, wow, this is an even bigger idea. Like, our birthdays donated so people can have more birthdays. Because you need clean water to live to 89.
That's good.
You're not living to 89 years old without access to healthcare and clean water. And so it just kind of naturally evolved. And that became a part of our messaging. Hey, donate your birthday so people can see more birthdays.
That's good.
As they have clean water.
That's
and that,
really
that wound up raising over $100 million as people from all around the world, donated birthdays. But then the next step of that was somebody came to me and said, my birthday is 11 months from now, but I am so passionate about charity water. I got to do something now. And they said, I want to go run a marathon. And then somebody said, I want to go walk across America holding one of your yellow cans. And somebody says, I'm afraid of heights. I'm going to go skydiving for clean water. So then we didn't even think of that. It was just birthdays. And then it became do anything. Bring your creativity. Bring your best idea. There was a guy who listened to Nickelback for 7 consecutive days with headphones at full volume.
Was it Mr. Beast?
It was not. This is way before Mr. Beast. And people thought that was both funny and terrifying. And he raised $48,000 in donations through a crazy idea. He then watched every Nicolas Cage movie called Trapped in a Cage. So, we love that. Good. So these ideas just happened organically. And then we just tried to, instead of fighting it, you feed it. You're like, hey. And then I think what we realized is this is their story. The more you can give your story away. So maybe in the hero's journey, we moved to the guide very, very early on in that. We weren't the hero. The 7-year-old girl selling lemonade in the rain is the hero. Jesse listening to Nickelback is the hero. The skydiver is the hero. The local partner who's taking that money and drilling a well is the hero. The woman who has been taking care of 7 kids without water for 57 years of her life, who gets clean water, she's the hero.
Yeah, that's really cool to see that evolution of starting with something. So fast forward to today. What have you been over the last couple of years? What has shifted in your messaging, especially nonprofit stuff? It's so hard with distractions. There's so many things out there. So many people doing things. you started with that simple idea of giving your birthday away. Let's fast forward to today. What are you seeing inside of your messaging, marketing? What are you trying? What's working for you guys right now?
It's really hard to get people's attention. And the things that we used to do that worked just don't work anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like I could talk for hours on the challenges. We are trying different things, but let me just talk about social media for a second.
Yeah.
We were the first charity to use Instagram.
Okay.
So they opened it up at like 9 o'clock. At 9:01, we had an account at Charity Water, and we were posting.
Wow.
So we were early on. We were the first charity to get 1 million Twitter followers. I remember speaking at Twitter headquarters in San Francisco when there were 35 employees at the company. So we rode that early wave of social media. But if you remember back then, you would post and everybody would see it.
Yes, absolutely.
It was just organic, right?
Algorithm was no such thing.
There was no ads.
Yes. Yeah.
You just posted.
Yes.
And everybody saw it.
The glory days. Yeah.
So, as that has changed, when now only a tiny fraction of your followers are seeing any of the organic content that you post, charities need marketing dollars. Right? Well, we don't have the marketing budgets to go and get those eyeballs. So you really have to be more creative. The other thing that's happened is we make really good, sincere videos. And they're funny sometimes, they're sincere. And I remember, we would send out videos to our email list, and everybody just loved our videos, and they would watch our videos and they would share our videos. We sent out a video a couple months ago to the email list, and 0.6% of the people clicked on it. 0.6%. Half of 1%. And it's just the noise.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning.
Yeah.
I think my inbox was 220. Jeez. Right? I'm on a mailing list. Every charity that I've ever given to is sending me stuff. The New York Times is sending me stuff. The Wall Street Journal is sending me stuff. Hulu is sending me stuff. Netflix is sending me stuff. Anywhere my wife has ever shopped, use my email address. So I batch delete. I was like, I got to go do this morning. I got to take my kids to school. I just kind of went inbox zero. If you were a charity, I'm sorry you got lost in that. I don't think you're doing less good work, but that's most days for me, where I'm deleting every newsletter. Even now the clients are moving them into different folders. So it's increasingly difficult. I also think our attention spans have shortened. Charity Water made this video about 7 years ago called The Spring. And it was 19 minutes. And everybody told us, you cannot make a 19-minute YouTube video. 0 people will watch it. And they were wrong. It got over 130 million views, wound up raising hundreds of millions of dollars. That wouldn't work today. They're right today. They were wrong back then. But I just don't think people have the attention span to take in. I went to the movies the other day. We were talking about this. Yeah. Everybody's on their phones at the movies.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We don't even have the attention span for a 90-minute film on a giant screen in Dolby X. People are like, I'm a little bored. It's a slow scene.
Yep.
So one of the things we've been doing is in real life experiences. We built our first retail shop here in the Nashville area. And that's a 60-minute experience where I ask you basically put away your phone, step into my world for the next 60 minutes, and you're going to go into a Dolby Atmos theater. You're going to go into a room that's 95 degrees, and you're going to walk for water carrying 40 pounds of weight as a 12-year-old tells you her story, and you're surrounded by LED screens. You're going to put on VR headsets, and you go to that moment surrounded with sound and then you're going to go to haptic touch tables where you're going to put different objects on the tables and you're going to learn about solutions. You're going to pump a well and you're going to hear children singing and water coming out of the well. So we've really leaned into experience. Now it's not as scalable, but it works really well. If you give me 60 minutes of your time and you come with your kids or you come with your coworkers, people, they respond. I don't know yet how to get people's attention online in the way that we used to be able to capture and hold. So we're trying a bunch of different things.
Yeah, it's good. I noticed a theme in your story. First, something I want to call back you said earlier, which I thought was so good, is the tangible side of problems that Americans or Western culture does not feel, right? Dirty water. We don't know what that's like. We know what cancer is. We don't know that. But also there's a moment of what I hear in your story is technology has played a huge role in how you communicate that problem.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're continually trying to adapt and use that, being first on Instagram.
Yep.
Being
Now
first
we've been using AI.
Yeah,
of course,
using
we
that.
did some AI storytelling.
Yeah.
We're trying comedy. We're trying shock.
Yeah.
We just made an ad where an Olympic diver jumps off a high dive and it reveals that there's no water in the pool.
Oh, goodness.
And
Okay.
at that very last minute,
How'd that do? Still waiting to see.
It's doing.
Wow.
It's doing. I mean,
So as a founder, if someone's listening, they either want to work in a nonprofit, they work at a nonprofit. Tell me this as you are driving this vision and mission forward. For you communicating that to your team as a founder and someone listening to this, what would you say to them as they're in this world of noise? They have a mission. They're trying to work really hard to raise awareness. What are you learning? What would you tell them as like, hey, you need to get this out? How do we get this out more?
I mean, repetition. We are saying the same thing today as we were 19 years ago.
Yeah.
Where we started this podcast is we're bringing water to everybody in the world.
Yeah.
It works in an elevator. Mm-hmm. There are nuances. Actually, the solutions have changed. We used to do wells. Now 80% of our systems are pipe systems, solar powered, sophisticated water towers. Much different. But the core problem we're trying to solve has not changed at all. Mm-hmm. And I think the framing of this as a solvable problem also hasn't changed. It's a big problem.
Yeah.
But it is completely solvable. And if we can engage your $40 right now could give one person clean water. We'd go from 703 million to 702 million, $9.99.
Yeah.
And that's actually true. Yes. And that's how this problem has been solved one by one by one, which is now added up to over $1 billion. And we've helped over 20 million people get water. But our 20 million people served it's only 1/35th. So we made a little dent.
Yeah. But a ways
2.8%.
Yeah.
I didn't set out to solve 2.8% of the problem.
Yeah. So you lead publicly, you lead people in this mission, but privately you lead a team. How do you communicate internally? How do you keep people in these moments of staying on focus, staying on mission with your messaging?
I think over the last few years, it's really been the focus on kind of the noble mission. This is a really disagreeable world.
Okay. Yep.
People are fighting about everything,
Yep.
right? The right hates the left and the middle hates the right and the left. And, people are fighting about religion and social issues and politics. One of the few things they can all agree on is clean water for humans. Mm-hmm. So I have probably talked more about that. Charity water as a unifier. Charity water as the one tent that everyone can find themselves under. Maybe one of the few things you could agree with your neighbor who you might fight about 100 other things with. I joke that I've yet to come off of a stage and have someone pull me aside and say, Scott, stop it. Stop giving people clean water. Let them die. Let the women bury their kids of diarrhea. Let the women get raped on 7-hour walks to a faraway river. Right? Stop wasting your time. Go work at a bank.
Yeah.
No one's done that. Mm-hmm. So, regardless, and I've met some frosty people over
sure.
the last 19 years.
Yeah.
So I think that's the one core, we are doing noble work. We are doing work that matters. We are immeasurably, indisputably changing and transforming human lives by the thing we are bringing them. Clean water is never bad. It's never, ever, ever bad. It's never bad to go from disgusting, poisonous water to clean water.
Yes.
And the ways that we may do that, are going to have to continually change. Yeah. But the actual core essence of the thing that we have all set out to do as an executive team, from finance to water programs to marketing to development, we are all engaged in a really noble mission.
That's good. If someone's listening to Scott, what's one thing that a nonprofit leader or a business leader should steal from Charity Water as far as something you guys do?
I think simplicity.
Okay.
Just be able to say, this is what we do. And this is what we believe. Okay. If you're working in the hunger space, we believe no one in our city should go to bed hungry. I could believe that. Yep. I don't even live in your city. Yeah. But if it's Des Moines, I believe nobody in Des Moines should go to bed hungry at night. And then this is what we're doing about it. We have one feeding center. We'd love to have 10. right? Somebody asked me years ago, they said, what is the delta between, where you're currently operating and the vision? I mean, it was a billion people.
Yep.
Today, the delta is 700 million people. Hopefully that comes down to 500 million people. But I think knowing your end goal as well, I didn't set out just to build 10 wells. We're at 186,000 water projects now. I didn't set out to build 186,000 water projects. So while that feels like a lot to other people sometimes, it's a fraction of what I imagined. It's not the problem I set out to solve. Yeah. So I think having that big vision and then simplifying. People need to know what you're doing.
That's good.
People stop me in the airports.
Yeah.
They don't know my name. They just say water.
Really?
They literally will point at me. This has happened hundreds of times. They'll point and they'll say, "What water?" They've seen my face in some video or something. I'm just the water guy.
The water guy.
That's okay.
That's good. Yeah. And I love that. It's so easy to get behind that because you're right. It unifies all of us together. We all can agree that people should not die of dirty water. It's very easy, no matter what political, religious background you come from, we can all unite around that. Scott, it's been great. I appreciate you stepping in and spending some time with us. If someone's listening to this and they want to donate their birthday or they want to do what, how do you do that?
I normally say charity water. I think for this group, go to thespring.com.
Okay.
Go check out that video, share the video, with your friends or coworkers. And The Spring is a community of people who just show up every month, like Netflix or Hulu. They give $10, $20, $40 a month, 100% goes. We have put more energy into proving where these monthly donations go. And I'm really excited. We have something we just launched called Waterproof, where people can see every single month where that month's donation went in the world. And it's very powerful. So that's just thespring.com. You can sign up in 20 seconds.
Perfect. Well, thanks again for your time. This has been great and appreciate all the work you're doing.
Sweet. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Thanks for listening to the StoryBrand podcast. No matter where you are in your marketing and messaging journey, get the tools, the training, and the support you need to start clarifying that message at StoryBrand.com. And don't forget to follow and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and then leave a comment letting us know what resonated with you and what we can unpack to help your business grow in a future episode. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next week.